Well, sir, friends, I'm very happy to speak to you in this evening on a very difficult topic. Man's place in the universe. Both are very difficult to understand. Universe, extremely difficult to understand. Isn't that so? Whatever thing we see around, part of universe, right? And whether universe is actually limited or unlimited. A big question from early times, people were thinking about it. Whether you can go to the end of the universe, impossible, right? And even think about whether it is limited or unlimited. And the next problem that people had is how did it originate? Origin of the universe is a big problem, right? So it's a very vast thing. And of course, man, or you may think that you know, right? You go to the mirror and see yourself in the mirror. I am a man. These three ladies may think, how can I say I am a man? Can you also see yourself in the mirror and say, I am a man? They say, no, I am a woman, they might say. Eh? But you see, when we use the term man, there is no gender difference. Only when we use the plural, men and women, then of course you think, there is mankind. But within the mankind you have men and women. Right. Just man is referring to the humankind, all human beings. So don't worry, I am not discriminating you. When I chose the title man in the universe, you are included. Okay? Otherwise they will be unhappy. Ne? So ladies, including you and these members, right, in the class, you all may think that we know about man. Let's find out, right, whether we know about ourselves. But first, let's start thinking about the universe, right? There are many stories about the sort of universe. But as much as we sort of learned, right, we learned that ancient people, early people, Asia and in the Western lands, Greece and so many, even China, they were thinking of universe. First they thought it's the world. Earth is the center. And sun and moon provide us all necessary warmth and all other comfort, everything. So they are gods. Sun god and moon god. Moon god I don't mind because my name means moon. Chandima. So, moon god, very helpful, very nice and sweet. Huh? Sun god, rather tough, right? You sweat when sun god is in full, in the daytime, 12 o'clock, mid-noon, you complain. You're very hot, right? When there is no rain for some time, you complain. The sun is irritating. Sunshine is very, very hurtful. But that is the source of energy. So people really had some feel about it and they used to worship sun. Indian people start the day by a special ritual called Surya Namaskar. According to their religion, right? Surya Namaskar, worshipping the sun when it really show its face early morning. So because it's in science does not refute that. According to scientists also, all energy, right, comes to us from sun, right? Therefore, sun is very important and people thought it's God, and then sun, moon and the earth. But later they realized that when they kept on looking at the stars and other things, that there are other planets too. So, however, they had no scientific equipment to observe these things. So what they had to do is resort to religion. They were meditating and getting into various trances and so getting some idea. But still, it was not complete. So they had various different clashing answers. Some people used to say that, word is finite. Some others say, oh, no, it's infinite, right? And some people say finite and infinite. In one perspective, finite, another perspective, infinite. And some others say, don't ask that question, whether finite or infinite, it's not valid. Right? So refuse that. So all fourfold possibilities. This is, in Indian logic, this is called Chatushkoti. Fourfold possibilities in conceptualizing anything. So all possible concepts, they provided it to it. And then different gods were sort of imagined as the creators. Right? They created one god called Wisma Karman. Vishwakarman. Vishwakarman means creator of the universe, because they thought to make anything you need someone to do it, create it, make it. Now your chairs were made in a factory by experienced technicians, right? The house, this building was built by masons, carpenters and all skilled people. So everything needs someone behind to make it, create it. So maker, creator has to be somebody. So in this frame of thinking, they invented creator God, right? The Buddha referred to this understanding of people as believe in Ishvara. In Hinduism, they have Ishvara, right? And Vishwakarman is another name for that kind of creator. Because builders are building Vishmas, right? Buildings. In Malay language, maybe that you have the same word, because we see Wisma Dharma, building, right? So some people in Sri Lanka say Wisma Karman, Wisma Karmya. Vishwakarma is the original term. Maker, universe maker, who made the universe, right? Like that, in Western world also, the Greek people had their understanding of the make-up universe in different fashions. Aristotle, Socrates, Plato, etc. There were a lot of philosophers, and they had their own imaginations. They were thinking in various ways of the universe, and it was also sort of earth-centered. People always thought Earth is the center, and others are just planets around them. But later in the line of development of Greek thinking, there gradually arose scientists, right? So when it came to Copernicus, right, the idea of earth-centered universe was changed, and he was thinking that sun is the center, solar-centered, right? Then gradually people started using various instruments by which they could see the distant planets, sun, moon, planets, and all that. Some idea arose in their mind. So they developed towards 18th century the idea of a galaxy. So we are in a galaxy called Milky Way, right? But later they came to know in their understanding that there are many galaxies, not just the Milky Way, right? The closest is Andromeda. Like that, there are so many galaxies are there. And very recently they came to know that there are many galaxies. So they were developing the idea of galactic clusters. Galactic clusters, and between the galactic clusters, now in around 1950 something, they thought, they discovered that there are dark pockets also. So entire universe is made of galactic clusters, right? So it's a huge thing. Still scientists cannot say whether it is finite or infinite. To say whether finite or infinite, you have to be able to be there, go there, see that. But it's not in our vicinity, right? Even with the highly sophisticated tools, the thing is that the distance from one planet to the another, from this sun to another sun. There are theories that some galaxies have even 7 suns. One is enough for us, isn't it? In some galaxies they have 7. So, with that knowledge, right, we still find that there is a limit of light years, right? Light years are actually from in a 1 second, light can travel 186,000 miles. Now the miles are not in practice in Malaysia, I think. Matter of olden days, now kilometers. 1.6 kilometers is there for a mile, is that so? Yeah, something like that. So it's still far away place. So having this type of distances, distance is measured with light years. Light years. So at that speed, the light travels in one whole year to an unimaginable distance, and that with that you measure. So still, universe is a puzzling thing. Now let's think. Now we know that Indians had conjectural universe in Greece later, and then today the scientists are having a little more accurate picture. Still they sort of confess that some more to be done. And then some more to be done is impossible because our lifespan is very short. We live only 100 years, let's say, roughly. Everybody wants to live 100 years, right? Fancy living 100 years? More than that, right? Yeah, this gentleman likes to live more than 100. Right? Ladies may like to live 120. Those days Indians used to call absolute lifespan for a being is 120. So for us 100 is sufficient, isn't it? 120 we will be unable to walk even. You will become presently eating rather sophisticated food and everything. Lifespan, people say, is shrinking. So anyway, our lifespan is not actually sufficient. The light years are such a difficult thing for us to imagine. So at the moment we are satisfied with thinking that it's unpredictable whether it is finite or infinite. Regarding the beginning also, it's very difficult because unless we believe in a religion where they have a creator God, right? Otherwise it's very difficult to stop our thinking, right? Thinking of the date. There was a time that in the Western world they thought Earth is not older than 40,000 years. But now they know that million, billion, trillion years also this Earth was there. So let's turn to the Buddha, asking how was his understanding, because among the philosophers, right, who used something little more than human wisdom is the Buddha. Because Buddha managed to develop certain abilities which many human beings thought impossible. So he developed actually divine vision, Dibba Chakku. He thought it's by meditation, it's our birthright. We also can have that. Dibba Chakku you also can generate. And Dibba Sota, divine audio ability. Yeah? Our ability to hear distant things. That's also, the Buddha said, within our reach. We can, if we meditate honestly and rather, systematically, we can develop that ability. Thank you very much. So, and there are so many other abhijñās, right? Super knowledges. So Buddha developing that sort of insight and asking his follower monks also to develop. Venerable Moggallana was one of the famous person who was able to see and practice iddhi, right? Power travel also to distant places. Still, these arahants, the Moggallana, etc., were also short-lived. They also cannot extend their life unimaginably. So there is a limited distance that they also can travel. So Buddha said, world's end, never think as a place where you can reach by walking or using your unimaginable power, right? You cannot go and find. It's beyond our going, beyond our reach. So beyond reach. Therefore, we can't say whether it is limited or unlimited. But Buddha, in fact, owing to his own special ability, could see more than the Arahants see, but still the Buddha said, these questions you put into dustbin. Whether the world is limited or unlimited. Whether the world has a beginning or no beginning. These are the two questions, space and time. That's right? Space-wise, time-wise. We cannot answer, so better to put it in the dustbin. Why? Because Buddha says that if you are putting all your effort to know something, it has to be of some use. So what is the use of finding whether the entire world system, universe or whatever we call it, is finite or infinite? Because we have some more important problems here. There are so many other important things rather than finding who created the world. We are actually living in the world. So Buddha says, live in the present moment. Right? Your past tracing will take entire life. And the human life, according to the Buddha, now our place in the human world is very, very precious. Right? For any being, his lifespan, his capacity is very important. In Sri Lanka, there is a saying that a tiny ant. Do you have ants in this country? You have, eh? Yeah. Elephants? Yes. Yeah, ant is a little smaller creature than elephant. So, we have a story venerable in Sri Lanka, and this tiny, tiny creature also urinates. Right? Having urinated and thinks, what a long river is this? Depending on his size, he imagines he has created the river. For us, we never see ant urine. Have you? An ant urinating? I haven't myself seen. I haven't seen myself. We can imagine it has to be a tiny, tiny, tiny drop. We have to use a microscope to see that. But for the ant, it's a river. Right. So, we human beings, right, although we imagine that we are very important, we are also very small creatures in the world. When you think of the size of the universe, that the things available in the universe, things people can do, in this context, we aren't that powerful, are we? But we are actually very different, gifted than other animals. There are a lot of animals in the world, tiny and huge, large. Some are flying, some can jump from tree to tree, right? There are so many types of animals. And we are also, in a way, some scientists say we are also animals. Right? Related to apes. Right? According to the theory of evolution, we were former apes. Now settled down on earth, cannot jump from tree to tree, but time to time we also have this desire to be able to jump from one tree to the other. Certain things that animals do, we are also crazy to do sometimes, right? Don't we? Certain animal behavior we like to copy and make it a play. We have competitions also arranged according to the way that they do things. So, we are also a sort of animals. There is a book by Desmond Morris, isn't it? Naked ape. He thinks we are apes, but we are born naked. Other apes are born with a dress made of their own hair. Unfortunately, human beings are born naked, so we have to spend a lot of money for dresses. So Desmond Morris, who wrote this beautiful book, called us naked ape. Right. But we are very advanced in an area where animals are not advanced. Right? I have this book, Venerable Dhammananda Nayaka Thera's centenary. For that centenary, these people, Nalanda Buddhist Association has published this book. In this book, when I was going through today, I found a very interesting thing about the human beings. So I thought, you may read it at home, of course, but I thought here also, if we can sort of see it, may be interesting. Yeah. Let me read it. No problem? Okay. In the page 142, the writer is David Robert Loy. Know him? David Robert Loy. He's a professor, a Zen teacher in the Sanbo Kyodan tradition of Japanese Zen Buddhism. But he seems to be a sort of person who has a lot of scientific knowledge and contemporary, familiarity with contemporary findings of science. We transform, this is what human beings do, right? As animals, right? We are different from animals, so we can do many marvels. We transform eating into growing food. The animals just eat what's grown. They eat vegetables, fruits and everything. They don't grow, right? When they can't grow and eat vegetables, what they do, they eat other animals. We humans transform eating into growing food. We just don't simply eat. We grow food and eat. Cooking and dining, right? Animals don't cook. They don't have the facilities. Procreation into romance, weddings, honeymoons, marriage and family life. So many nice things with procreation, right? You know procreation, right? Human sexuality is something wonderful that human beings are given as a gift. Because animals have a limited period in the year, right? You say that animals are in heat, right? Elephants are very visible, right? And so therefore, only once a year they sort of have children. Human beings can have sexual relationships all throughout the year and have many children, right? And so they have families. To form a family, there is a wedding ceremony as well. Spending a lot of money. And wedding photo you have on your wall displaying for entire life. Even after one partner's death, you look at the picture and you, my husband, my wife. Right. Romance, weddings, honeymoons. The most beautiful thing is honeymoon, isn't it? Marriage and family life. Communicate grunts into literature. The animals cannot, no animal has written any book. We assume they are thinking and we write as if animals talk. For children we write the monkey stories, cat stories, dog stories, and as if dogs, monkeys can talk. Right? So we imagine how animals might be thinking. So our imagination makes literature for us. We print books. Now I am reading from a book, right? No animals can create literature like this. Grunts into literature. Philosophy. The wonderful thing that we have so far developed. Philosophy, right? Philosophy. And other types of storytelling. Right? To our children, we create beautiful animal stories and even stories about gods, divinities, right? So many nice stories we make and tell our children. No animal can tell a story to their puppies. We create new species that could never have evolved without us. Right? That some biologists do. They make new breeds, right? The dogs are especially, right? They create new breeds, right? When you want to have a pet at home, you think of a very expensive, beautiful dog. Some people prefer this very tiny ones, Chihuahua. You can put it in your coat pocket and travel. Tiny ones, like that. And now, very recently I heard that people who are fond of eating flesh, that means meat, right, are rather reluctant to kill animals for that. But the taste of meat is unrefutable by them. They can't refuse eating meat. They really like to keep on eating, but killing animals is also a problematic thing when you study ethics, especially sort of Buddhist ethics, right? They question with your conscience, is it right for you to kill animals to eat meat? But meat eating has become a part of your culture. So what to do? They have recently, with the cell culture, now you have the cell culture to create new trees from old tree, take some cells and develop a new tree. Cell culture has been so advanced that now kill just one animal, make meat enough for a country. So it's a special culture. Artificial meat, not the artificial meat that you have made from soya. It's cheating yourself, right? Lot of chemicals to make a bean taste like, look like meat. What sort of complicated process you have to do? How much chemical you put into this? But without that, now they have found an easy technique. Real meat, but only one animal killed. After that, lot of meat is produced. I heard that, I haven't seen so far. But science is doing that type of marvels nowadays. Because you can clone human beings also, you know that, right? In some countries, even talking about this illegal, they say terrible, this really unkind, to clone human beings. So you can clone animals, but now the next step is just one animal can feed thousands and thousands of people without any much problem, right? So okay, evolved without, we create new species that could never have evolved without us. Hand axes and knives, they are not natural things, right? We created knives, various weapons, cutting tools and hitting tools, all sort of tools. Houses and schools again, right? Cats don't have schools, right? Some girls like to teach cats A, B, C, D, but that is only harassing the little one. Houses, schools, temples, cathedrals. Now we have a BMV here, wonderful temple, right? Very impressive, right? Who created? The human beings. Temples and cathedrals. String quarters and jazz quarters. Economic systems and political institutions. Those are troublesome, right? Political institutions. Anyway, we have created. In this fashion, the universe becomes endlessly richer in every ramifying possibilities. Humans are not just one more manifestation of this process. We have become a unique, important contributor to its incessant creativity. Right. So there's some more. Later you can find the book, Nalanda publications. Our own Vijay Samaravikrama has done a lot of editing and improved. I know that he was closely connected with our Nayaka Hamdru. Is he still living? He is. Oh, wonderful. Right. My salute to him. I have read most of his writings. Beautiful. Yeah. So, Benny Liao has edited this. A lot of interesting articles are there. So, and this particular article that I was referring is also very important about man. So, man, right, in the universe. Although universe is unimaginable, man is imaginable. You can yourself think of it. The Buddha has seen the universe and man in his insight that he managed to develop, improve through his meditation, right? So, he himself has told us, don't think of the beginning. Don't think of the extent. So, time and space wise, you need not waste your effort. But the Buddha has told us to live in the present moment and understand the human potential that this particular writer has given us. Buddha has seen more potential than this, right? Because entire world system, according to Buddhism, world and the beings and all animals, everything, right, are dependently arising. Paticca samuppanna, right? So when you understand the dependent arising, how things are interrelated, right? How things don't have everlasting shape, everlasting quality. The Buddha has seen even what scientists have not seen, right? So in the future day, they will see, oh, this thing, the Buddha has said long time ago. So far what the scientists have seen that the galaxies, galactic clusters, and the long, large universe which we cannot think of the finite, whether it is finite or infinite. So, actually, Buddha has spoken about sun and moon, planets, and Buddha has seen clusters of galaxies. Right? Buddha, the terms Buddha used are slightly different. Buddha says, we are in a Chulanika Lokadhatu, the galaxies. And then Majjhimaka Lokadhatu, galaxy clusters. And Buddha says, Mahalokadhatu, made of galaxy clusters. And Buddha has even mentioned the dark pockets. Only in 1950s, scientists seen this. So, Buddha's picture of universe is still unimaginable to scientists. He has spoken about the vastness of the universe with Chulanika Lokadhatu, Majjhimaka Lokadhatu and Mahalokadhatu. 3 levels. Scientists are also speaking about these 3 levels. And the Buddha has also spoken about the world systems where many suns. Right? So, and Buddha has spoken about the places where life is possible. Right? Now scientists are also experimenting very hard now to see what type of beings are there in those possible galaxies. Not in every planet human life is possible. Right? There are certain things that they don't have. But there are stories about the flying saucers. Time in some countries, flying saucers appeared. And some people have confessed that they had seen even some kind of beings, rather short, coming out of these saucers, trying to explore our earth. But the moment they see human beings, they just run back to get into the flying saucer, vanish. Very different. But recently there's a controversy, of course, controversial news. Recently they have found a dead body which they think someone came from outside world, not here from earth. Only 3 fingers in the hand. But we have 5. Our 5 is our identity. All human beings have 5. Very seldom I have seen one person who is having 6 fingers also. Right? 6th one here, but very small connection, right? Have you seen anyone having more than 5 fingers? He has seen. You're right. So it may be a sort of universal feature. Very seldom it appears, right? Some people with their, maybe a problem with genes or something, have extra finger-like something hanging from here, right? So we had in Sri Lanka only one very famous professor he was, right? I will tell Bante the name later. It's no good because he's dead and gone now. His relations may be saying, you shouldn't say about the 6th finger of our father. So anyway, that sort of things are there, but 3 fingers was found absolutely unusual. So scientists say, maybe not a person from this world. Must be someone from outside of this earth, a guest of ours, unfortunately died here. So this body is now being displayed for people who are curious. But some people are challenging that conjecture, saying that cannot be. Cannot be, we really don't know. So anyway, life possible in other worlds. The Buddha has seen and named such places as Devalokas, heavens. Heavens where happiness is more, right? And there was a belief among people in India that under this earth or under the sea, there was a hell called Patala. When Buddha was questioned about that, Buddha said, no Patala under the sea. That's a myth. Right? His vision, Buddha's sharp vision, right, disclaimed that belief. In Samyutta Nikaya, there is a sutta called Patala Sutta. An Indian man came to see the Buddha, asked him, Venerable Sir, is it true that under our sea there is a place called Patala? That Patala is a word used for hell in India. Buddha says, no, but when people do evil karmas, there is a possibility that they go to places where suffering is more. Continuous suffering, you have to suffer because you have done evil things. Even in the human world, the Buddha says, if somebody is having trouble with his eyes, ears, nose, skin, and then pain owing to the experiences that we have with our 6 senses, that can be a result of evil actions that we have done in our either this life or previous life. Because Buddhism, when Buddha explains the universe, he has 5 laws. We have heard, I think, very often when Venerables preach Dhamma here in Dhamma sermons, 5 laws of nature. Pancha Niyama, it's called in Pali. Right? Pancha Niyama. Modern commentators, those who write commentaries to the Buddha's teachings in English, they say this Utu Niyama is the physical laws, and Bija Niyama is biological laws, Chitta Niyama psychological laws, Kamma Niyama is moral laws. So they have these 4, and the Dhamma sometimes can be miracles or just a covering term for nature. They say, we call it normative laws, right? To be in the safe side. But they are very particular in seeing that the Buddha in fact had a deep understanding about physical, biological and psychological nature, right? Which you could call laws that we human beings go by. We have to suffer. Either suffer or enjoy, right? Kamma Niyama, sometimes we enjoy, we have done a lot of punya kammas last life. And everything that we want to, do, right, here we see, become successful. Right? Some people try very hard and they are not successful. So, we can feel that we have been rather moral, ethical in our last life. That's why whatever we want to aspire, we achieve. Right? So, karma is actually not just suffering. Normally people, when they use the term karma, they always associate it with evil doing. Bad karma becomes just karma. No, there is kusala karma and akusala karma both. Venerable will explain when his turn comes, right? Kusala karma and akusala karma, punya and papa, right? So, anyway, ethical laws are there, right? Biological, that we have our biological laws. That's why we human beings have 2 eyes and 1 nose, 1 mouth. Be careful, right? 1 mouth only to do little talking, and 2 ears you have to listen more. Listen more. That's the avenue for learning, right? Those days in Buddha's time, it was just listening, mainly listening, right? Buddha had some experiences with visuals also. He used visuals, but those days education was completely, right, mainly audio. Now it is audio-visual. Only those 2 can be used for learning, isn't it? We don't go to school to learn about the smells. That's naturally our parents give that understanding. It's not very complicated, right? So other thing is that when you talk about abhinyas, super knowledges by meditation, you can extend only these 2 educationally important organs. Dibba chakku is extending your ability to see, ability of seeing. And dibba sota, ability of listening. Dibba chakku and dibba, there is no dibba nasa, dibba ghana. Right? You can't elongate your nose to smell divine flowers. Right? You can't say, I can smell parijata puppa in heaven. We can't do that, right? And the taste also is like that. If it was possible, all 7-star hotels will get their stock depleted, because we will extend our tongue and eat all their food. Can't do that. They are safe, right? If we could extend our ability of hearing and listening and other abilities, if we think that we could extend our tongue, right, to get the taste of what King Charles is eating presently, that's terrible. It's not done. Only you can extend the 2 important audio-visual organs, right? So we humans can do. Understand, learn from others. Buddha says that there are avenues for us humans which animals don't have, special skills by which we can be highly knowledgeable. Right? The knowledge is very useful for human beings. Because of knowledge we can stop samsaric suffering. Right? It is knowledge, the best gift that we have. How do we obtain knowledge? The Buddha says three avenues, 3 ways for you to do that. We humans can learn from others. Animals have very limited learning ability. Right? Whatever we teach our dog, right? You can train your dog to go to the newsagent and bring the everyday morning newspaper. Some dogs do that. But that dog is unable to teach that skill to his puppy. To him, we have to start afresh again. Right? So dogs are not good teachers. They cannot teach learning of complicated things. Only possible for we human beings. Others have some ability, but that's very limited. Animal fathers teach little ones certain skills, how to kill an animal and eat. Right? The tigers teach how to jump over tiny creatures. Kill and eat. That sort of things they learn. But they can't learn what we teach our children. So Buddha says our first avenue is learning from others. Right? Parato gosa is one Pali word. Or we can also say Sutamaya Jnana. Listened knowledge, heard knowledge. You gather knowledge from teachers, others. Sutamaya Jnana, one way of learning. This humans, superhuman skill that members of the universe, you are gifted. You have this ability. How to use it, right? Learn from others. Buddha says, yes, continue to learn. That's why when Buddha was talking about the things that Sangha must do, the number one, for lay people, you have to be teachers. The Sangha, that's why having a lot of Dhamma preachings, Dhamma classes and all that, that's the duty that Buddha expected from them. They are teachers. Monks are teachers. And Buddha himself says, in my previous lives, in many lives I was a teacher. And I was very skilled in teaching that my students learned it very well, very clearly they understood. They managed to put it into practice. I was well-known, good teacher. So teaching is a very, very valuable skill that we humans have, animals don't have. One is that. The second is, Buddha says, Chintame Jnana. We use what first we learn from others, then we use generating knowledge from our own ability. We have the ability to generate knowledge. That's why we philosophize. That's how the scientists have managed to, the things that this book has described. Instead of just eating, we are growing food, making food and eat. Changing, right? We humans work very creative. That's why in different countries there is different food, right? Italians, you know them, right? Went to America for working, and when they went there, when they gone there, American asked, "What do you eat in your country? Special food?" Then they named many things, right? Like in Malaysia, you have your noodles. They said noodles. Oh, we also have noodles, right? Various things to mention. Americans, we also have it. It's nothing unique Italian, that food. So eventually, with a lot of reluctance, they said, we have a sort of thing called pizza, but we are very shy to talk about it because it's very plain, very poor looking, and only when we don't have enough money to have luxury food, we eat that. Make it, we never heard it. So Italians, they made this, it's like an Indian roti. Plain, flour, roti. The Americans say, "Ayyo, you don't know how to make this properly. How can you eat this? We will teach you how to improve this." So they put some sauce, vegetables and cheese and everything, and under the grill, they said, "Look, this is real pizza." Right? So Italians learned how to decorate over it and how to put all this nice stuff and make it rather nourishing food. Rich luxury food now. So when they went home, they taught home people, "Ayyo, you don't know how to eat this. We learned it from Americans. Make it like this." So they taught their home people. Now pizza is an internationally well-known Italian dish. Right? That's creativity, the American creativity. Made Italian pizza a world-famous luxury food. Right? In Malaysia, you eat pizza, don't you? Pizza. Very popular. In Sri Lanka also it's like that. When you have some extra money, you go to pizza place. Expensive. Because cheese and all these things are very expensive. So pizza is not cheap. The former Indian roti is still cheap. You have coconut and flour, you eat flour and a little bit water, salt and everything, make a roti. Right? That was evolved by some others to make bread. I read about the history of bread, and it is said that early people, right, had only wheat flour, and they make it a pulp, and put it on a stone, and expose it to sunshine. So, in the sunlight, it got dehydrated and made a roti. That's the early way. Later, they gradually they came to know that you can add fermenting agents to it, and when it's ferment, it's much more easier to eat, tasty and all that. So gradually, the present day bread evolved out of plain roti. So human beings are that, when it comes to food, very creative. When it comes to philosophy, also very creative. When it comes to ethical life, very creative. Now, think of the family and the friends you have, right? The Buddha says, human nature, Buddha was very, very analytical and very deep evaluation he has done about human behavior. He says, human beings cannot live alone. They need company. Always they need friends. Right? Only when you are totally upset about the way things happen, and then you want to nibbanize, you go to forest and become a lonely fellow. Otherwise, you need a friend. Many friends you have. Even if you are not married, you have friends. Friendship. What we have, the ideal term, Venerable Sir, Kalyana Mitra. Isn't that so? So when we talk about the Buddha, we say Buddha is our Kalyana Mitra, ideal friend. Right? So friends. Even Aristotle said that people don't want to be lonely. Right. So we get married and live with a wife all through your life. That's the promise you normally give. Later you break it. Like to live entire life with this particular lady. You marry and have children. And there, what is there? The idea called love, which is not very sophisticated among animals. Some animals, of course, birds, biologists say some birds have, their mating becomes a sort of living together. And so you can see couples, birds. When you send cards for marriage, you put the picture of birds, two birds like that. But normally, among animals, there is no families are made. Children are not looked after for long. Right? That's why the animal babies, let's say, animal cubs are born, and in 2-3 hours, they can run. Look at the calf. When cow keeps on giving milk, but that one can run. Human baby, even after 1.5 years, cannot run. Right? Some are early developers. 1 year's time, they may try to stand up and make 2-3 steps. But human babies have to be looked after something like 2 or 3 years. Parental care is absolutely necessary. Right? And in some families, even when you are 18 years old, you keep the son at home until he get married. The parental love is really a very pleasant experience even for young people. Right? Among animals, it's not there. So this feeling of love is a very important feeling. The Buddha makes it metta. Right? The love, actually, when you speak English, you think it's rather very, very mundane. But in Christian religion, when you listen to Christians, they have word love without any problem. Right? Love your neighbor. Right? It doesn't mean that you make a sort of a sensual approach. No. That love is the Buddhist metta. Right? Your friendship you extend, thinking that let this person live happily. Let him enjoy his life. Because according to the Buddha, human life is very rare. Difficult to get it in many, not in many places, in 2 places in Tripitaka. The simile of a tortoise seeing the sky through a wood yoke. Right? I don't know whether you have seen a yoke when people used bulls or animals for field work, or when they were having carts, bullock carts, right? They had something on top of his neck. When you were doing your field work, the days before tractors, you use bullock. So there is a small thing that you have to fit the thing that you are using to the bull, and that has holes. And it's said that some tortoise come from the deep sea to the top only one time 100 years. When that come, if there is that wood part is floating on the water, the sea water, this one can see through that hole the sky. So that's unimaginably rare thing. Almost impossible. Right? So that is given as a simile to indicate how human life is difficult to obtain. We may not really feel it because there are so many millions and millions of human beings nowadays all over the world, in many countries where people did not used to live, now they live. Right? But compare the number of tiny animals live. Right? Recently I read an article on the human skin. It said there are 60,000 microscopic germs, tiny bacteria-like living beings in 1 square inch of skin, human skin. So many life forms everywhere, right? In this table also we may imagine maybe very tiny life. Everywhere, even though we use tons and tons of antibiotics, still germs live. We call them germs because they are harmful for us, but they're living beings. There's life. That's why one of my friends who passed the medical examination became a doctor. He says, I don't like to practice medicine. I ask him why. Because with one capsule, I harm millions of living beings, even though I don't see them. Then I had to counsel him. Many hours I had to explain. In Buddhism, what is very important is the cetana, the intention. When you give that tablet or capsule to a patient, your intention is very positive intention to heal this person, cure this person. Never think of the germs, right? Whether they are living or not living, you really don't know. Maybe that patient don't have any living organ inside the stomach. Maybe that's a different cause or anything, something like that. But you learn your profession, right? To treat people, think of healing side only. Don't think of other complications. Like that, we human beings can think different ways and do different actions, right? So human beings are very creative and they can do marvels, especially they can stop their suffering, right? Can improve, right? And they are unique, very special, right? So I have no time to talk more than that. 9:30. So when I saw someone now walking out, I thought it's indicating the time. I was not looking at my watch, looking at the audience. But now that I got the signal, it's time to stop, isn't it, Mr. Leslie? Yeah. So we can give about 5 minutes for any questions you have, right? Yeah, sure.
Seems like with these technologies, right, human relationship is broken down. For example, by families, right, they don't have dinner together. They rather spend time looking at handphone. Handphone is more like a wife and a husband more than the person. These technologies, right, in a way, is actually detaching human touch, human kind of relationship. It looks like we are actually relating more towards technology. We fall in love. So how will you foresee in the near future this human relationship in terms of, from a Buddhist point of view? I mean, it looks like we are going to a different dimension right now, beyond emotional, spiritual. So it seems like artificial intelligence, this technology is actually overriding, controlling humans' response and humans' environments. Thank you.
Yes, this is a big problem nowadays. Many people discuss this. What will happen to human relationships when you have only a distance communication, right? Yes. But however, I told you that human beings are actually geniuses, right? When they really feel like that, because of this electronic communication and everything, the real warm communication that human beings face to face had is gone, they will really feel, we are starving of love. Therefore, find a solution. So definitely they will find a solution. And so far, even though electronic communication has taken a lot of time of ours, still people maintain their real sensual relationships also, right? You start your love affair with the short messages, but then there comes a time that, shall we go and have a dinner? Right? Dinner you can't have with the telephone, right? So they will take the girlfriend to a real sociable place, and then all relationships that they start with electronic communication will end up in real marriage, proper marriage, right? Because with telephone communication, you can't have children, right? No one has so far complained that because of my boyfriend's telephone calls, I got pregnant. No, you have to have physical contact as well. Human beings will think about this. Humans are not idiots. I have a lot of faith in human beings. And as we are all human beings, we will find a solution for this. As the solution for killing is now being developed, right? Because human beings are getting increasingly sensitive to killing other beings. So that is why they are now thinking of artificial meat, right? Cell culture. This is, I think, it's something positive, because we can't ask the meat greedy fellows, stop meat eating, become vegetarians, right? They will get very angry with us. I have the experience also. So what we do is that let these technologies themselves, right? Because it is humans who created these technologies. They will find solutions for their problems, and when the answer is wrong, they will think again to change. So many things have been rethought in the human history. So let's be hopeful.
Good evening, Professor. So what is the take-home message for tonight's topic? Like you say, human beings are very creative. So now, how do we relate to this topic? Relate our human being to the universe. What do we supposed to have to do?
How do we relate our human beings to?
Yeah. What is the take-home message for this topic? Human being and universe. Where do we stand?
I see. So human beings, rebirth and nibbana. These three things, is it? Yeah, you are talking about?
No, Professor, I think what the brother is asking is, now after listening to you, what you had explained, what is the gist of the message?
What is the gist of the message that I give you? Right. So my view is that when you look at the universe, right, we may appear not very important, right? You think the universe is so large. But we, even though small beings, right, we are in a position to understand the universe increasingly better. So far, from the Buddha's time to this time, we have taken a lot of, we have generated a lot of knowledge about the universe. And we have generated a lot of knowledge about ourselves also. Because in India, Hindu religion taught us, Atmanang Vidhi, know yourself. And in the Greece also, there is an oracle of Orpheus or something like that, again says, know yourself. So we have been trying to know ourselves. So I have understood that we are dependently arisen. And we are very powerful, much advanced than the animals. Right? So we can love each other. The human world is a happy place to live. The Buddha has said, Sukha Bahula Manussanam Vedyamananam. Among the feeling creatures, human beings get more happy feelings. So human world is a lucky place. To be human, we have been very blessed, very lucky. So, given this moment, we must learn, practice, and achieve something higher, better. Right? That is why Buddhist religion has been approaching us in a scientific, logical, philosophical way. The Buddha, even though he lived 2,600 years ago, he gave us a very positive message. Even in this 21st century, what Buddha has said is not cancelled out. It's still meaningful and it will keep on guiding us. Therefore, we will try to understand ourselves. We must think of ourselves. That's why we meditate also. In meditation, what we are doing? Thinking of ourselves and improving our lot. That's what my message.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
Perspective.
Thank you.
We wasn't too much concerned about the universe.
Yeah.
That's right.
You cannot change
About
ourselves.
right.
the present moment.
Present moment. Live in the present moment.
Okay, I have one question. Professor Chandima, what is your view on this Armageddon or the end of the world, from the Western or thoughts, that kind of thing?
Right.
Buddhists don't talk about end of the world, and it's more like an evolution thing. Maybe you can enlighten us.
Right. In the Buddhist cosmology, there is an answer for this, because Buddha says, actually, there are periods in the world, something that scientists can call end of the world. But the Buddha says that's not the total end of the world, it's a temporary end of the world. That means, Buddha says, there are two types of ages in the world. In one period, what happens is all the galaxies, all the planets, right, in our galaxy, will come closer to the sun, and it becomes very warm, and then it becomes uninhabitable for life. That time, this uninhabitable life has a sort of hibernation. That is what we call the Brahma existence, right? But then what happened after a very long period, all these planets get again distanced. When they are this distancing period and coming closer period, Buddha says, in Pali terms, that they are, what is the Pali term? It just came to me and it just got. Sangvatta and Vivatta. Sangvatta Kappa means planets come together, and it becomes, life becomes impossible to function the normal way. So hibernation that they have to do, like the amoeba hibernates, right? So next time, then Wijebandara, all these planets get to a distance, and where now the temperature and all these things are good for life. So very simple life form comes, right? Some hibernated life comes to the sky first, and are self-illuminating and floating in the air. And then the earth is, at that time, is like a jelly-like substance. So seeing the fragrance and jelly-like floating substance, these tiny living beings but self-illuminating comes down, and they taste this earth. When they taste this earth, body becomes gross, rough, and then they evolve into animal life or human life, right? After a long time, then the human beings appear, right? Those human beings appear, and Buddha says that some humans become rather rough, heavy physically, and some are very soft, beautiful, and so the rough body people look at keep on focusing at this beautiful bodied people. So owing to this feeling of attraction, rough people develop male sex, develop into male sex, and male sex organs also develop. And the other one, the tiny, nice, sweet bodied people become ladies. Then female organ appears in their bodies. So now, owing to mutual attraction, they keep on looking at each other. Let's say man and woman. The man, when the woman body is beautiful to look at, keep on focusing, and then some heat is generated in the body, and other ladies' body is also getting heated. So they experiment with their sex organs. Others cannot understand this. They put various things onto this couple, saying, "You nasa vasali," it's the Pali words are, get destroyed. What is this funny thing you are doing? So they know that enjoyment of it, they create a covering place for this. So others don't disturb their behavior. That is how the house came to be known. They have houses, and then they create families. All these complications are followed. This is given in Buddha's Aganya Sutta, Digha Nikaya. Right. So this is how it's explained.
I think you're trying to explain the expansion and the contraction.
Yes.
So now, from what you know, are we in the expansion phase,
The
or
Buddha
are
has
we
said,
in the...
Buddha has said we are in Wijebandara extension period.
So at this age,
Yeah,
are
at
we
this
in
age,
the contracting
still world
or expanding?
system,
Or are we still expanding, or are we in the process of contracting?
We are not getting closer. We are still in the good age.
Yeah.
But after a long time, after Maitreya Buddha also appears.
Yeah.
This is a long era.
Then,
in this era, 5 Buddhas. We have had 4 Buddhas. 5th Buddha, Maitreya Buddha. After Maitreya Buddha also, then start degeneration. Then lifespan becomes shorter, and Buddha said even 5-year boys love 5-year girls.
Yeah.
That type of degeneration starts. And like that, the world comes to an end. The scientists may call, it's the end of the world.
Okay.
But it's not permanent end.
Okay.
The temporary
yeah,
end.
you will come, because nothing
Right.
is permanent. Everything changes.
Yes.
So now we are not in the
Destruction
extinct.
rate.
We are not in the
No.
extinct stage.
I want to expand further on this, right, Professor Chandima. Okay, talking about universe, right? Astrologists, right, studies the moon, the stars, the alignments, and all these things, or predicting the futures. So actually, there is a scientific relevance of it. There is some prediction come true. I see one of the Indian astrologers, very young, is talking about mathematics, studies the structures, the forces, the energies. He predict war and peace. This year what will happen, what happens, right? So in a way, human also related to the universe, the positioning, the energies is also affecting the fate of the world. war, peace, calamities, and all those things. Does this actually encompass the whole Buddhist thoughts of the universe?
Well, the Buddhism has seen this possible, clashes and people hate each other and all that, right? But Buddhism has a remedy for this. If people get together and make a sort of peace among them, because now negotiation is possible. Even Soviet Russia and America can negotiate. There is hotline between the two leaders of the two countries. Before they shell a bomb, the leaders will talk, right? So communication has made it possible for people to communicate and establish peace. So human beings will not do the same destructive, silly things that they did during the Second World War time, right? Now you can see, we were wondering whether this Soviet Russia and Ukraine thing will immediately lead to a world war. Still not. They are trying their level best to control, right? Level best to control. So in the world, if we can share our Buddhism with people, world leaders, right? In fact, world leaders are becoming aware of the Buddha's great teachings. Recently, I went to a seminar in a conference in India. The India's leader, Narendra Modi, right? People think that he will make trouble with China, or sometimes some confusion will be caused by him. He said, no, we give the world not Yuddha, we give Buddha. There are Hindu words. Yuddha means war. Buddha means, we know, our Buddha. So he said, no Yuddha, but Buddha we give to the world. That means he is working for a peace formula using Buddhism. Right? India is a very powerful country now. It's not a sort of weak, poor, don't think like that way. It's a very powerful country now. They also have nuclear power. And it is they who have done many things in the world, right? So they are doing something, right? And one day, now think of Australia. Are there many Buddhists or less Buddhists? Increasing number of people in Australia are getting Buddhists, becoming Buddhists. So many Western countries, right? They are, even though they don't take Panchasila and say we are Buddhists, they take the Buddhist teachings into their mind. So some good things will happen, right? I don't think very soon there will be Third World War. Some people are always in fear. Maybe tomorrow there will be World War. I don't think so. I'm rather optimistic.
How does Buddhism see the point of fortune telling, prediction the futures? Do they support that kind of mentalities? Because humans are very curious about what's going to happen in the futures, and they use this kind of different techniques to predict this and to justify these predictions. Some may come true. If they come true, become popular, but some they are bullshit, then they are not popular. So how does this, we as a Buddhist
it's all in our hands. We are, right, all individuals here are also responsible what's going to happen in the world tomorrow. So we are responsible, right? Every individual must think in terms of what's going to happen in the world tomorrow. So you in Malaysia, right, you can create peace in Malaysia and tell your leaders, political people, don't try to teach them Buddhism, but teach them peace and mutual coexistence. Right? You can give that, you be an example. Then now in this Brickfield Mahavihara, we are a big community, right? If this community shows other people that we are a happy crowd, we are not for the war, we are for happy living. Our brotherhood is so powerful. So they will learn at least that aspect. Don't expect entire Malaysia to become Buddhist. We don't dream of that. We are not that missionary, our religion. But we give the value to others. We share the value. Now, in Sri Lanka, we are sharing our values with Christians. Christians and Buddhists are now very, very friendly, share good values. And there was a time that Buddhist monks cannot go to the church. Right? People will say, oh, why should you go? Are you going to convert yourself into Christianity? Nowadays, not. The monks go to church, fathers come to temples, they work together. So future, I think it's not bleak for coexistence, religious coexistence, mutual coexistence. Right? So we have to do that. We have to contribute positively.
Thank you, Professor. I think it's already 10 o'clock. It's time to end. Thank you for this very enlightening discussion this evening. I hope everyone benefited from Professor's exposition just now about the man in the universe. Professor will be back here on Sunday morning talking about Buddhism and economics. The Buddhist philosophy of economics on Sunday at 10 a.m. So before we end, can we just invite Bhante to just give a short blessing service to us, Bhante?
Sabbitiyo vivajjantu sabbarogo vinasatu mate bhavattvantarayo sukhi digayuko bhava abhivadana silissa niccang vaddhapachayino chattaro dhamma vaddanti ayuvanno sukham balang ayurarogya sampatti sagga sampatti mevacha ato nibbana sampatti imina te samijjatu.